we were left on a cliffhanger again. So Israel is literally throwing a temper tantrum, asking for a king, and Yahweh very clearly was like, you guys are rejecting me. Just so you know, this whole process means you're rejecting me, and I'm going to warn you beforehand that you having a human king is going to cause all these consequences and repercussions. And they're like, we don't care. Give it to us anyway. Samuel is upset. He feels like this is rejection against God. This is evil. We shouldn't be here like this, since they've just come around from not trusting God, coming home to God, and now yet again, they are rejecting God. So Samuel is super opposed, but Samuel's sons also were bad. So the people probably triggered by his bad sons being the next generation of judges, they were like, we don't want your sons. We also don't want Yahweh. We want another human king. And then they very clearly say, we want to be like the other people around us. We want to be like the Gentile nations. We want to be like the world. That's why we want a king. God grants the Israelites what they want because they were gathered, protesting. And so Samuel was like, go back each to your own towns. And when we're ready, we're going to get you that king. So God acquiesced to their request. So 1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 1. There was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, son of Zeror, son of Bechorath, son of Aphiah, a Benjaminite, a man of wealth. So verse 1 is trying to explain to us that Saul comes from this household, the son of Kish. So Saul is from a prominent, prestigious family. Later on, he's going to say something like, oh, I'm coming from this really small, useless family. That's not true. It's clearly a man of wealth and very well documented lineage. So verse 2, and he, so the Benjaminite, his name is Kish. Kish had a son, and he had a son whose name was Saul, a handsome young man. So not only is Saul from an influential family, a rich, prominent family, he himself is also physically very attractive, very tall, very handsome. And then the Bible itself says, there was not a man among the people of Israel, not just of Benjamin tribe, but all of Israel, more handsome than he. From his shoulders upward, he was taller than any of the people. So the Bible records Saul is a whole head taller than everybody else. So think of a male model, gorgeous actor, or K-pop idol. And then so it documents, so men and women all know about this son of Kish, all of Israel. Verse 3, now the donkeys of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. So Kish said to Saul his son, take one of the young men with you and arise, go and look for the donkeys. So it's clear here, they're rich enough. There's servants and helpers. So he's like to his son, his beautiful, tall, handsome son, I've lost some donkeys. Go get some of our helpers and go send a search party. Go find my donkeys. Verse 4, and he passed through the hill country of Ephraim and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they did not find them. And they passed through the land of Shalim, but they were not there. Then they passed through the land of Benjamin, but did not find them. They just go through a really clear pathway. They went through this town, couldn't find it, this town, this town. Saul and his father's men, they are searching diligently town by town. They're getting closer and closer to a designation. They think they're just following where the donkeys might have gone, but God does have a path in mind. So it is actually God intention. There is a divine plan here. Verse 5, when they came to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant who was with him, come, let us go back, lest my father cease to care about the donkeys and become anxious about us. So Saul is aware, he's smart. They've been gone for a couple days. So he's like, we should probably head back now because my dad's going to be like, okay, forget about the donkeys. Where's my son and where's my people? So he's aware. Now Zuph casually talks about Zuph. Zuph, if you go back to chapter 1, that's actually Samuel's dad's hometown. The Zuph is connected to Samuel's family. They are searching and they're following the donkeys from Benjamin, and then they end up in Ephraim in the city of Zuph, which is connected to Samuel. So absolutely, there is a divine leading that's happening now. Verse 6, but he said to him, so Saul is telling the servant, let's go home. But the servant says to Saul, hang on. Behold, there is a man of God, a prophet, in this city, and he is a man who is held in honor. All that he says comes true. I mean, that's Samuel. So now let us go there. Perhaps he can tell us the way we should go. So the servant comes up with this plan. He thinks it's by his own design. Clearly, God put that idea in his head. But somehow they're like, wait a second, we're in Zuph. There's a prophet here, and this prophet knows everything. It's a trivial question, but he might know where our donkeys went. So a man of God tells you whether you should war or not, why there's famine, or where my lost donkeys. Exactly. So God also divinely puts this idea, has the servant suggest. They happen to be in town, same town. So verse 7, then Saul said to his servant, But if we go, what can we bring the man? For the bread in our sacks is gone, and there is no present to bring to the man of God. What do we have? And once again, this is not trying to buy off or bribe or anything. It's just customary. And in a lot of cultures, even today, if you go to someone's house and visit, we even do it in the US, we'll bring a bottle of wine or some cookies. Even more so in the Middle East, already the custom says, even if I'm just greeting you, I should not show up to your house empty-handed. In addition, I'm also asking you for advice. Yeah. So I probably should add some more stuff. Yeah. Verse 8, the servant answers Saul again, here, I have with me a quarter of a shekel of silver, and I will give it to the man of God to tell us our way. Verse 9, formerly in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, he said, come, let us go to the seer, for today's prophet was formerly called a seer. So the person who is writing this is also giving a footnote in case they didn't understand later on, a couple hundred years later, that a prophet used to be called a seer. So in certain versions, it'll be like a seer, a man of God, who is also a seer. So they'll use it interchangeably. But later on, they tried to clarify where a prophet of God is a prophet and a seer is more like fortune telling as language develops. But early on, a seer was also used to mean prophet of God. So a seer could mean a prophet of an idol or a prophet of God. Okay. Later on, as language developed and matured, then they were more specific. Then they only used prophet for prophet, and then they only used seer for non-Yahweh prophets. They're trying to just give a quick footnote here, like a time frame footnote. Like, by the way, back then, a man would just say seer, and a seer meant prophet of God, and that's okay. We were able to use this word back then. You can actually see, even within the writing, they were trying to let the later Israelites readers understand back then what seer meant. Verse 10, and Saul said to his servant, well said, come, let's go. So they went to the city where the man of God was. Verse 11, as they went up the hill to the city, they met young women coming out to draw water and said to them, is the seer here? And that's why they had that margin note, because now they're just going to call him seer. But the note is trying to say the seer just means prophet of God. They answered, he is. Behold, he is just ahead of you. Hurry. He has come just now to the city because the people have a sacrifice today on the high place. Eventually we'll see the law does change that you're not allowed to have just a high place anywhere to worship or sacrifice. You must go to Jerusalem where there's a temple. But back then there's a tabernacle in Shiloh, and it was allowed because it says Samuel had also built an altar in Ramah, where his mom is from. And so here in Zuph, there is also a high place, like some worship center, and then they are doing a sacrifice. So they're asking Samuel to come oversee and perform the sacrifice. And so they're like, what good timing. Samuel is actually in town. Because remember, he goes on a circuit last time when we were talking about, so he's often moving and performing sacrificial duties. Divine intervention. Samuel happens to be in town because there is a sacrifice today that he is overseeing and he is presiding over today. So if you hurry up, you might be able to catch him. He might not have left yet. Verse 13, as soon as you enter the city, you will find him before he goes up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat till he comes, since he must bless the sacrifice. Afterward, those who are invited will eat. Now go up, and you will meet him immediately. So they're like, he's on his way, getting ready to leave to go eat, so catch him before he goes. Verse 14, so they went up to the city. As they were entering the city, they saw Samuel coming out toward them on his way to the high place. We've been talking about Samuel, but in the first whole section of chapter 9, it doesn't actually say it's Samuel. It just says man of God, seer. We presume that the servant as well as Saul, they might not even know Samuel by name. They just know there's this guy who's really good at prophesying. He's really accurate. Verse 14, they finally say Samuel's name. They saw Samuel coming down towards them on his way up to the high place. Verse 15, now the day before Saul came, the Lord had already revealed to Samuel. They don't know that this was all in God's plan, but Samuel knew that this was all going to happen because the day before, God already told Samuel, this guy, Saul, he's going to come. Verse 16, tomorrow about this time, I will send to you a man from the land of Benjamin, and you shall anoint him to be prince over my people Israel. He shall save my people from the hand of the Philistines, for I have seen my people because their cry has come to me. So here, the anoint, absolutely, that is the base word from where Messiah comes from, to be anointed. So it's saying you will anoint him. And then he also says, prince of my people. In Old Testament, when you see prince, it's another word for ruler. It doesn't mean son of a king. So he will be the ruler, the head over my people. And he shall save my people from the hand of the Philistines. Now here in each of these sentences, it sounds very contextual, historically accurate. He's going to be anointed. He will save Israel from the Philistines, all the bullying. But here also, it is is to point towards Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the anointed one. He is the Messiah. He saves all of God's people, not just from the Philistines, but from our sins and from death. So there's a lot of multi-level intention in that verse. Verse 17, when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord told him, here is the man of whom I spoke to you. He it is who shall restrain my people. So that's also very interesting, because he was just saying yesterday, this guy Saul is going to save my people. And today when Saul appears in front of Samuel, God's like, he's the one who's going to restrain my people. Like, rule over, keep detained. Because wait a second, I thought he was going to save them. So instead of setting them free, like Jesus Christ is coming to save us and to free us. But as a human king, he's saving them from the Philistines, but to reign over and to rule over them. There is certain overlaps that correlate, but then ultimately a human king is not to give us freedom. A human king is not to save us eternally. It's not even to help us live life more fully on earth. It's literally to reign over us, tax us, have us labor for him. And it's allowed because that's what human kings do. And that's what the Israelites wanted. But remember, God warned them, if you have a king, he's going to reign over you. He's going to rule over you. He's going to restrain you. What you wanted to do, he's going to say, no, you can't take 100% of your crops. You have to give me some. You can't just live as you please. You have to serve me in the army. You have to give me some of your kids. The definition of what a true king is, the Jesus Christ, the true king, but then the very realistic consequence of an earthly king. He's not going to give you these things that you're imagining and you think, oh, so good, so good. There's only one true king, which is Jesus Christ, that can give us that. And the earthly king, there's always a price. There's a cost to it. And that cost is the reigning over, the ruling over, the restraining. Verse 18, then Saul approached Samuel in the gate and said, tell me, where is the house of the seer? So Saul is in front of Samuel's house, and he is speaking presumably to Samuel and not to the servant of Samuel. And he's literally asking Samuel, where does the seer live? Because he has no idea. This is Samuel himself. So he's like, where does the seer live? Can you tell me which one is the house? Verse 19, Samuel answered Saul, I am the seer. Go up before me to the high place, for today you shall eat with me, and in the morning I will let you go and will tell you all that is on your mind. Samuel is like, I'm about to go. You're going to come with me. You're going to participate in the sacrificial offering. Technically, only the priest would be enacting that whole process. So why is Saul also invited to now participate in this priestly duty? Eating with the priest after an offering is honor. So he's also telling him, you're going to come and you're going to eat with me. And you're going to have an honorable banquet. So there's a little bit of a, what's happening here? And it's funny because Samuel's like, God has told me, I know exactly what's on your mind. So verse 20, Samuel says to Saul, as for your donkeys that were lost 3 days ago, do not set your mind on them. Stop worrying about them. Stop stressing over and thinking about them, for they have been found. And for whom is all that is desirable in Israel? Is it not for you and for all your father's house? You and your father's house, you guys are all very desirable. You guys are all very prominent. Verse 21, Saul answered, am I not a Benjaminite from the least of the tribes of Israel? That is true, because back in Judges, there was a time when the Benjaminites did something, and then the other 11 tribes rose up and killed off a lot of their men. And so the Benjaminite tribe absolutely is the smallest in number. They didn't start out small. They became the smallest and continued to be the smallest even many years later. So that is true. But then Saul's next claim, and is not my clan the humblest of all the clans of the tribe of Benjamin? That's not really true, because literally you're from a really wealthy, prominent family. So is this false humility, or is this just he's so uncertain what to say in front of Samuel, who is super famous and prominent? We don't know, but there is some false humility here. Why then have you spoken to me in this way? Verse 22, then Samuel took Saul and his young man and brought them into the hall and gave them a place at the head of the table, at the head of those who had been invited, who were about 30 persons. He brings Saul and the servant that have been going on for the donkey search party, brings them up to the high place where they eat, because they finished the sacrifice and now you can eat part of that sacrifice. And then instead of just sitting anywhere, he puts them at the head of the table. These two people that were not part of the sacrifice, that are probably unknown to the original worshipers, and they put them at the head of the table. So Samuel's probably sitting at the head of the table. And then Saul and the servant is also sitting at the head of the table. So A lot of attention there. And it says about 30 people. Verse 23, and Samuel said to the cook, bring the portion I gave you, of which I said to you, put it aside. Now, the leg is the priest portion. So there's a portion that's designated to the priest. The priest, which is Samuel in this situation, gave it to the cook and was like, that portion, the priestly portion, I want you to serve Saul from the priestly portion. So there is absolutely some type of intention that's showing some sacred kingship over here. He's not saying anything yet, but from the seat at the table to the portion that he's eating, there is some significance that Samuel is hinting towards. Although Saul is absolutely undeserving. In this moment, Saul has done nothing to show that he should be king. It's no merit of him. Saul hasn't done anything. He hasn't won a single battle over the Philistines yet. He hasn't freed the Israelites from Philistine oppression yet. So how is he already getting to sit at the head of the table? How is he already getting to eat the priestly portion of the sacrifice? That, by the way, he also had no part in. Here it shows that even though Saul himself is undeserving, God is giving him this honor. God is giving him this selection. God is allowing him to have this honor. So by no way did he earn this. Verse 24, so the cook took up the leg and what was on it and set them before Saul. And Samuel said, see, what was kept is set before you. Eat, because it was kept for you until the hour appointed, that you might eat with the guests. And since we all just came from John, I think it's really interesting that it says the hour appointed. Because remember in John, it kept saying the appointed hour. The hour has not come. The appointed hour has not come. And so even here, we know all these things is only allowed by God's timing. So it's absolutely intentional that the timing, not only from this meandering, what seemingly is this lost donkey, this game of I Spy of donkeys, and then stumbling upon Samuel's house and being like, where's the seer's house? And it just happened to be his house. And then just happened to be in Zuph, who happened to have an offering scheduled for today. And then Samuel already asked for the leg to be put away. All of these things were appointed the exact hour, the exact timing by Yahweh himself. And so Samuel is saying this was appointed by Yahweh. So this is not of your own merit, not of your own design, not because you came and searched the donkeys. Zero effort on your part. God has scheduled everything and prepared everything. So Saul ate with Samuel that day. Verse 25, and when they came down from the high place into the city, a bed was spread for Saul on the roof, and he lay down to sleep. We assume maybe at Samuel's house or close by. Verse 26, then at the break of dawn, Samuel called to Saul on the roof. Up. I think it's funny. So we assume here that Samuel is probably a generation ahead, if not more, because Samuel's own sons are not only grown, but working for many decades, right? Because that's how they found out the sons were very corrupt as a judge. Now Saul is not married yet, young, still lives with his father. So we assume they might be 1 to 2 generations difference. So Samuel is an old man compared to this young man Saul. So he goes, up, like, get up, that I may send you on your way. So Saul arose, and both he and Samuel went out into the street. Verse 27, as they were going down to the outskirts of the city, Samuel said to Saul, tell the servant, because remember, Saul has one servant following him the whole time. So he says, tell the servant to pass on before us, to keep going. And when he has passed on, stop here yourself for a while, that I may make known to you the word of God. So this whole time, they had the food, they had the dinner, he slept over, but he still hasn't told him about the kingship. He's planning to tell Saul this when Saul is alone. So he says, send your servant ahead. Ask your servant to keep going, but you wait for me here. We are on another cliffhanger, and because we know the story, so we know where this is going. But if it's for Saul, he would be like, this is really strange. Yeah. Like, I came for donkeys. The donkeys are fine, but I met this nice old man who told me to sit, and he gave me this really nice food and really honorable position and really honorable portion of the leg. But, I mean, sure. Yeah. I guess, why not? But we all know that the country has been in protest and brewing, asking for a king. And then Samuel now is meeting this man that the Lord Yahweh has already said he's going to be the next king.